2 has officially dropped, and with it comes the most highly anticipated week of farming that Grandmaster Nightfalls have to offer in episode Heresy. This week's GM is the Cosmodrome Battlegrounds, with the Lotus-Eater Adept as the weekly featured Nightfall reward. This is a brand new Void Rocket Sidearm with some really powerful perk combinations, and we finally have double Nightfall rewards lining up with a weapon that people actually want to chase. Now you're probably thinking, above, who the f is farming the Cosmodrome Battlegrounds? Well, today I'll be showcasing why the Lotus-Eater is absolutely worth going for, and how you can easily farm this Nightfall for double loop drops all week long. If you enjoyed today's video, a like and subscription is always appreciated. Now let's get into it. So what makes Lotus-Eater so good? Well, first off, it is the only Void Rocket Sidearm in the game right now, and comes with unique perks that are definitely worth going for. In column 3, we have Repulsor Brace, Reconstruction, Shoot to Loot, and Beacon rounds, and in column 4, we have Destabilizing rounds, which now matches the potency of other top tier perks like Incandescent and Volt Shot after the buff. And we also have Withering Gaze, which gives us a pocket debuff whenever we need it. I'll probably be snagging a few different rolls of this thing, and I'd love to hear which rolls you guys are chasing down in the comments below. Starting with my recommended team comp, we went with one Well of Radiance Warlock rocking Phoenix Protocol, one Invis Hunter with Orpheus Rigs, and a Thunder Crash Titan rocking Heart of Inmost Light. Phoenix is extremely easy to use and allows you to chain supers with your tether for nearly 100% uptime. Tether is not only an amazing crowd control tool, it's also the key to infinite super chaining. It's also worth noting that invisibility comes in clutch for escorting the payload and grabbing the Savathûn spears in the boss room, which are two of the most difficult parts of this Nightfall. And your Titan is essentially there for offensive firepower, giving your entire team access to bolt charge spam for ad clear. As for weapon loadouts, we went with 2 Levi's Breaths to consistently stunlock the final boss, and a Le Monarch for easy bolt charge spam with your Titan. We did try Microcosm to see how it performed with the addition of today's artifact mods, but the boss fight is simply too long range to take advantage of this, which is why Levi's is so good here. These can all be paired with Rocket Sidearms to handle barrier champions, or an anti-barrier sniper to deal with some of the longer range sections as well. Finally, go with whatever primary you're most comfortable with, but I highly recommend some sort of shoot-to-loot weapon to grab ammo from a long distance. Tip number 1 takes us to the start of the Nightfall, which is unironically one of the most annoying parts of this Grandmaster. After dealing with the initial wave of champions, your Hunter will begin moving the payload, while your Warlock and Titan should set up on the close left rooftop to overlook the encounter and spawn kill enemies for your Hunter. Unlike other strikes where you can hop on and off of payloads to trigger ad spawns, this GM has strict progress checkpoints that must be met to prevent ads from spawning infinitely. These ad spawns contain art captains and most notably, groups of sniper vandals that can easily one-shot you if not managed properly. So to avoid dealing with this frustrating infinite loop, your Hunter will use invisibility chaining to push the payload forward, while your teammates focus on ad clear as I noted before. You'll need to do this until the payload reaches 35% capture progress, at which point a Brig mini-boss will spawn in and despawn all previous waves of enemies. It is at this point that I like to rotate to this rooftop, throw down a well, and use tether and bolt charge to quickly break the Brig's outer shield, and once clear, a barrier servitor will appear that you can kill before hopping back on the payload. Tip number 2 is a quick one, but is important nonetheless. The rest of the push to the 85% checkpoint is relatively straightforward, but there is a sneaky and completely avoidable mechanic that can actually make this section way harder than it needs to be. As you round this corner and set yourselves up to deal with the onslaught of champions, shriekers, and hive guardians, it can be tempting to jump up on this high ground and deal with the enemies from here. However, if you do this, stepping on this rooftop actually triggers an infinite wizard and acolyte spawn loop that will happen on this rooftop, which unintentionally pinches your fire team between the enemies. So instead, clear from a distance as you move towards the 85% checkpoint, then drop a well behind the payload and use use Tether to spawn trap the enemies and constantly cycle your supers. Just make sure that you start by taking out the Shriekers and be prepared for 4 champions and a Hive Guardian shortly after. Levies absolutely destroys them, and you should be through this section in no time. The next room can be a bit overwhelming, so tip number 3 is all about positioning yourself to limit the chaos. As you enter the room, smoke your teammates and head to this cubby on the left-hand side of the room. Enemies will occasionally spawn behind you, but that only happens during phase 3, way later in the encounter, and as long as you're prepared for it, it's relatively easy to deal with. Enemies will spawn in various locations around the room, with every third wave spawning a wizard that drops Lucent tributes. I recommend leaving them on the ground until the end of the encounter, as the wizard will always be accompanied by 2 champions each time. This platform gives us a great overall view of the room while providing decent cover, and Tether and Bolt Charge are the absolute MVPs here. Once all 3 waves have been cleared, you can safely collect the tributes, grab the ammo crate, and we're moving on. Tip number 4. Before heading to the final boss encounter, we must first send Ulnath to its mindscape. If you sit at the back of this long bridge and fire your Levi's Breath together while the boss is crouched, you can actually stunlock the boss in place and prevent him from ever threatening you. And the nice thing is that you actually get all of your ammo back when you start the boss fight, so there's no need to worry about ammo here. Tip number 5. Take note of the platform you land on when you enter the mindscape, because this is where we'll be spending 99% of our time in this encounter. This high ground allows you to damage the boss from a safe distance and significantly limits how much it aggroes you with its throwable void shields. Start by pre-placing your wells and tethers before activating the encounter, as they'll be refunded to you when we start the fight. The boss will appear at the very far side of the arena, and this is where Levi's Breath truly shines. Just like last week's GM, Levi's will stunlock the boss in place and does crazy AoE damage sharing with Tether to surrounding mobs, allowing you to health gate the boss and manage ad clear in literal seconds. When you hit the first health gate, an aspect of Savathun will appear on the far side of the room and will be accompanied by an unstoppable ogre. Start by killing the ogre first, then shift your attention to Savathun. This is really the only time you'll ever leave the platform, as you'll need to collect the synaptic spears from the center of the arena to damage the clone. I recommend letting your Invis Hunter grab these, but if you want to speed things up, simply smoke your teammates so all 3 of you can chip away at the boss at the same time. Once dead, Ulnath will reappear, and we'll simply repeat what we did in phase 1. And once you reach the final health gate, we'll now have 2 aspects of Savathun and a yellow bar ogre that will spawn in. Take care of the ogre first, followed by the left aspect, as it is by far the most threatening of the 2. You can then use the left spear to target the right aspect, and once dead, Ulnath will appear one last time, at which point you can kill it and reap the double loot benefits all week long. If you guys found this guide useful, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated, and as always, come hang out in the live streams over at twitch.tv/above. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace!